Well, good morning. Today we're out for a little run/walk. It's the Tripler Trail on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, and we're using the Insta360 X4. I do have the premium lens protectors on. I have the sticky wind muffs that you can get on, and I'm using the 2-in-1 extension selfie stick with the tripod base from the Insta360 company. This is an 8K standard with auto ISO, auto white balance. This trail is not very long, but it has a decent amount of elevation gain. So it's actually on a military installation, Tripler Army Medical Center, and then you go above Tripler, and then there's a housing area up here, and on the back side of that housing area is where this trail is. The purpose of this trail is to give access to the electric company and a telecommunications company, and has a secondary function of being an access point to the trail network. It'll take you along the mountain and ridge lines of the main mountain range that separates leeward from windward side of Oahu. This is the leeward side, and which is the Honolulu side. We should have some views coming up here shortly. This is the very first part of the trail, and again, it's a steep elevation gain. I believe it's 1.25 miles and 600 feet of elevation gain, maybe 700. At least to the turnaround point that we're going to. The trail does continue to go all the way up to, again, the ridge lines, and if you take a northerly route on the ridge line, it'll take you to the summit, to the old Stairway to Heaven. But it is May 2024, and they are actually tearing down Stairway to Heaven. It may already be completely torn down at this point. The Stairway to Heaven has been kind of a controversial thing for a while now. It was constructed years ago by the US Navy, and my notifications are blowing up on my watch here. As a access point to one side of a antenna system. There's a big bowl cut out in the mountains. It actually kind of is a natural reflector. And in World War II times, in the 40s and 50s, they strung a large antenna array from one side of the bowl to the other side along the ridgeline, and they would use it to bounce AM transmissions out into the ocean so they could talk to the naval fleet and aircraft. And then also it acted as a large collection array for signals coming in. They used it up until probably the 60s, and then they just kind of abandoned it. It was open to the public until in the early 80s. It was made famous by an episode of Magnum P.I. where he climbed up the Haiku Stairs, as it's officially known as. Started to become a super popular tourist attraction, and in the mid 80s it was overseen by the Coast Guard at that point and the Navy, but they didn't want anything to do with it because liability purposes for civilians climbing, so they turned it over back to the state of Hawaii. The state of Hawaii, if you don't know, is kind of has a policy of, if it's dangerous, we're just going to say it's off limits for liability purposes. They don't care if you hike it, they just don't want to be sued. So once the state had it, they deemed it to be off limits. And for 30 years, it's had a security guard at the base of it and some fences around. They have essentially been non-effective, and everyone and their brother has climbed the Haiku Stairs. At some point along the way, there was some maintenance that had been done to the stairs, but for the most part they were built so well that they just stood the test of time, and they've been there for 80 years and they've held up exceptionally well. It was one way up, or one lane up, one lane down, so one of the problems people run into is traffic coming up or down. One of them would have had to climb off the side of it, which for most of the trail meant a sheer multiple hundreds of feet drop. There's the Christmas tree. You can see the Christmas ornaments. However, there have been no major injuries, and I believe only one death associated with the Haiku Stairs, but not because they fell. I believe it was someone had a heart attack while doing the hike, so it was natural causes. But again, the state of Hawaii is very quick to put anything off limits if it's considered even remotely dangerous, but they have no liability. And there's been a small sect of the government that has wanted for years to dismantle the Haiku Stairs. For a very small window, they had potentially considered the idea of contracting it out to a private corporation for maintenance and safety oversight for a tour that you'd pay for, but in the end they determined that it was just too dangerous. The state did. If you look out over here, you can see that's Honolulu over there where the high rises are. At the Honolulu Harbor, the airstrip, Hickam, and Pearl Harbor is directly behind me. To my left, there's a couple of valleys. Honolulu Valley is not this immediate valley, but the next one over. And that is another alternate route that you can take, not on a military installation, to gain access to the summit of Haiku Stairs. So there was a small sect of the government that wanted to dismantle the Haiku Stairs for years, and the controversy has gone back and forth about tearing it down. But the main thing was that it was going to be more expensive to tear it down than it would be to just keep a security guard out there. And the effect of, you know, $3 to $5 million to tear it down. And what it's consisted of is basically crews going up and unbolting and cutting the foundation, bringing in a Hughes MD 500 helicopter and taking small sections at a time via helicopter and dropping them to a staging point location so that they can be eventually probably recycled. Hopefully they take a small section of the stairs and put it in a museum somewhere, like the Navy, for example, the Coast Guard. And that would be one way of preserving the history behind the stairs. So I actually understand why they're taking the stance they are on dismantling the stairs. I don't like it or agree with it from the historical aspect of it. You know, I think it's a snapshot in time, you know, of both the world wars we were going through, but also technology, and showing how far we've advanced, going from stringing wires across mountains to satellites, you know. I personally have not hiked the Haiku Stairs, but I have been to the base and near the summit. I was stationed here in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, 96, 2000, and I tried to hike it on a couple different occasions, but was thwarted because if the security guards did catch us and got our names and information somehow, and it got back to the military, it could mean serious penalties. Whereas if you're a civilian, it'd just be like a $1,000 ticket. Occasionally, HPD would climb the stairs and sight people, but for the most part, if people did hop the fences and sneak around the guard, they just let them go and do it. One of the biggest advocates for removing the stairs were the people that lived right there at the base of the stairs, because the only access was through cutting through private yards and hopping private fences, because the main entrance was blocked with a large fence and a gate with a security guard. So people would get there at 2, 3 in the morning, cut through people's yards, front yards, hop their fence in their backyard, and then hop the fence to the stairs entrance. A lot of times waiting for the guard to walk away and then racing and running to the entrance of the stairs, or climbing an alternate way and then kind of getting access to the stairs a little bit of ways up. There are plenty of videos on YouTube of people climbing the Haiku Stairs if you're interested in seeing that. There's one such documentary that goes way deep into the history, and it's a YouTube channel by the name of, I think it's Aiden Woods, but I will link it below. Or maybe it's Avery. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Whew. So we're almost at the top here, and this is the steepest section. I'm going at a snail's pace. In fact, my watch is asking me, do I want to end the workout? I'm going so slow, but at least I'm still putting in that effort. Just around this corner. So I have done a full 360 video in 8K, rendered in 8K. YouTube doesn't show it in 8K at the Honolulu Zoo, and I can see a quality difference. All right, here we are at the top. So normally this is all manicured and kept down. They come about once a year to do it, and right now it's kind of fully grown in, but they do come through every so often and cut all these bushes down. But the nice thing about 360 camera is on a selfie stick I can hold it up, and you may not be able to hear me too well because the camera's far away from me, but you should be able to see what the view is up here. And again, looking over to the right here, not this first valley, but the next one over is Moanalua Valley. This valley here, I'm not sure, actually, you know what, this valley here is Moanalua Valley. There's a small itty bitty draw right here that's not. That's the difference. Yeah, so that main valley you see there is Moanalua Valley. Off in the distance in the cloud cover, you can see the ridge line going through there. Whew. All right, so we do want to keep going. Dismiss this. 23 minutes to get up here, and because I have it on mixed cardio and not a run, it doesn't actually give me distance, but I know that it's about 1.25 miles up here, or maybe right at a mile, depending on where you start and where you turn around at. But we've burned 330 calories, so that's kind of a good thing. If you do keep going this direction here, this is a microwave communication center. If you do keep going this direction right up here, it will take you way up and into the ridge line and to the summit of where the haiku stairs used to come out at. It will take you about 3 to 4 hours to climb that. It's very windy, very rainy, and there's certain sections where you're climbing on all fours in mud, and also to where it's like a rope. You have to use a rope to get up, and there are a lot of sections. I would say at least 50% of it, you have a foot on either side, and then it's a 600-foot drop. Like if you were to trip and fall, you know, you're done. Whew. So I think I might do this video in 2 ways. I think I'm going to do it using Insta360 Studio and reframing it, and I'll do a second one and I'll render it in Final Cut Pro in 8K and upload it as a 360 video, so that you can see kind of what both do. Again, I do think that the X4 is an upgrade to the X3, a worthwhile upgrade, not just an incremental upgrade. I do not like the business practices of Insta360, you know, but what can you do? It's the times we live in. I suppose you could boycott them, but if you're a small creator and you're trying to have, you know, a basic set of tools to allow you to tell a story, I do feel that this is a very good tool, and there's not really any competition on the market right now. Maybe, I hate to even say this because I hate GoPro, not from like a company aspect, but from a innovation and usability aspect, GoPros are just horrible. They've been almost broke for years now, and that's why they just keep putting the same camera out with, you know, one small minute little difference, you know, blue speckles instead of black rubber, you know. It's because they're broke. They can't afford to dump the R&D in, and you know, they don't have the backing of large government behind them, which I suspect that maybe some of these camera companies do in China, like DJI and Insta360. You know, whatever your opinion is, do with it what you will. But from a tool to tell stories, this is a very good tool, especially if you have an athletic lifestyle or a fast-paced lifestyle. You know, ride motorcycles, you know, you do any type of snowboarding, skiing, side-by-sides, even just, you know, driving in your own, just in a car. You know, you can set this up, hit record, you don't have to worry about what it's looking at, and if you see something, you can say, hey, look at that, and just quickly swoop around and have it there. And with the Insta360 Studio being kind of refined for video editing, you don't even need to pay for video editing software. You can just use the Insta360 Studio. You know, I think for fast turnaround times, it's a really good tool to use, especially like from mobile. You just want to be able to throw something on Instagram or something like that. Super quick, super convenient, and even though, again, I don't support their business marketing tactics, I do like the product. So we're going to go ahead and finish this run, and from this point forward, we'll do a little bit of a hyperlapse, the little motion, little fake motion blur in there, and get to the bottom of this hill. So take a second to look up there. Let me see what the zoom in capabilities is with this 8K. You can see there's a Black Hawk helicopter up there. If we get lucky, it'll come down and land over here, but we may be in this tree foliage when it does, because we're just now getting into the lower section here where it's kind of a thicker vegetation and the trail is kind of enclosed. But here you can see it again. And I'll zoom in to maybe like 200%, and you can see what it looks like. I'll also be rendering this in ProRes 422. I'm pretty sure ProRes 422 is an option in Insta360 Studio. Normally I don't. Normally I render in H.265 and then go over to Final Cut Pro and then render it in 422 on Final Cut Pro. But I'm going to do all the editing within the Insta360 Studio and render in ProRes 422. Well, we're at the end of the trail here. This little road right here where it's got the chain link fence is just a short little, I don't know, probably 400-meter road. It goes up to a water tower, or water tank, not a tower. And then this goes back down into the housing neighborhood. So we've come to the end of our route. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, you can hit that thumbs up, and if you want to see more content on this channel of just randomness, some camera, some vloggy, some, you know, unique perspectives on this and that, and hit that subscribe button. Until the next one, get outside and enjoy your life and keep both feet planted on the ground.